Hello and welcome to the National Baseball League. Time for some power rankings. And hopefully the Yankees can win today against the Red Sox. But enough of MLB talk. Let's talk the National Baseball League. We'll go 30-1. Just a short explanation of each team. I have them all listed out in front of me just to make sure I don't mix up the spots. I got my handy-dandy marker. Let's begin. So starting at number 30, we have the Albuquerque Aliens. Pretty self-explanatory. So yeah, they're 1-6. Yeah, I don't think I need to elaborate anymore. 1 win in 7 games. Yikes. That is rough. That's a rough start. No. Then we move to number 29. Oh, yeah, I'm going to put initials. There we go. Number 29. Toronto. So for the Toronto Huskies, they're giving up lots of runs. That's their problem. Their pitching. It's bad. Their rotation needs work. They need to... Maybe just the teams they're playing. You know, the Expos aren't that good either, but we'll get to them. They're not winning. They're losing by a lot. They're losing by a lot. A lot of runs. 12-5 loss and then a 7-1 loss in the same series. Yeah, I'm not going to rank it that high. Then we move to number 28. Number 28 is the Minnesota Northern Lights, and for the Northern Lights, their problem is, I mean, they got 2 wins, but they can't keep any of that up. The consistency is the problem. They're not scoring enough runs. Not enough runs to win. It's causing them to lose. Similar to Toronto, they don't score. No, actually, it's the exact opposite problem. They don't score anything. If they do, it's not consistent enough. I'm just gonna say that for the next team, definitely. The Washington Monuments, number 27. So for Washington, similar like to Toronto, similar to Minnesota, they don't score. They're giving up like shutouts. They can't get their guys home. They can't get the runners that are on base. They can't bring them home. And what this causes is them to blow series, get shut out. Yeah. Something needs to. They need to do something. You know, it's early. They need to ready the ship. Otherwise, trading might be a good idea. Trying to just messing around, just trying something new to see if it works. That might be a good idea if they're having this problem 6 weeks from now. But we'll move on to team. I don't like to see them this slow, but yeah, they're gonna be this slow. If I can get the board to stand, there we go. The Cincinnati Stingers. So Cincinnati's at number 26. Their problem is inconsistency. They are very inconsistent. They'll have they'll have a really good game, and then they'll blow the next 3. They got shut out to the Monuments, who have the same problem. But for them, it's more of they can't sustain anything. They'll win a game and then they'll blow the next 2 by, and they're not close games either. So yeah, a lot of these teams they're out here for similar reasons. So then after that we have the Montreal Expos. So for Montreal, their problem is they can't close out games. They just or they can't when they fail when they need to succeed. When the pressure's on them, they just they self-destruct practically. That's a good way to describe it. They just don't. They have a chance to win it here, and then all their guys get struck out, or they ground out, stuff like that. It's causing them to lose games. Well, the same record as all these teams, like Minnesota through Montreal, they all have 4-2 records. No, Toronto too. Toronto through Montreal have 4-2 records. And we're gonna move on. Who do we have next? Same problem. New Orleans, same problem. They can't close out games. They're just, and one thing is, some of them, they should win. They have chances to take leads, chance to walk off games. They just don't. Similar to Montreal, they absolutely combust. It falls apart it falls apart at the worst time. And it causes, same old. They when pressure is on them, they fall apart. On number 20, we're on number 23. We're going through these quick. Number 23. No, I hate that. This one on here. The Columbus Aviators. So if I can draw it. So for Columbus, their problem, they do not. It's similar to Washington. They don't really score a lot. And the games they are winning, they're like 1 run winning about a run. Yeah, blowout wins for Columbus. They haven't had one yet. They're getting by the skin of their teeth when they do win. Just not there. Hopefully, I want to see them all the way at the top of the board in that top row. I would love to be seeing that. So then we move on to Chicago. The Chicago Railers. Okay, this one's weird. The reason, they're on a hot streak right now. 3 wins in a row, but they've lost 6 before that. I mean, they've had a terrible start, but they're rebounding. They've won their last 3 in a row. They're 3-6. So that's why they're this high on the board. Otherwise, they'd be in the mix with all these other teams. Things are starting to connect. They're getting wins. Doesn't really matter how, but they're winning games. They're winning. Just enough. Can they get all the way back to 500? They're halfway there, by the way. 6-6. If they can get to 500, that'd be something. 6 wins, 6 losses. So then we move to number 21, Las Vegas. No, you're not gonna fall. No. So for the Las Vegas Gamblers, just trying to get my board stable. The Gamblers here, number 21. It's kind of like Cincinnati. They're inconsistent. They'll have a good win. They're able to hold on, and then they're not able to follow it up. That's their problem. They'll have a good against Oakland. They had a good first game, 5-3 win over the Oakland Ocean, and then the next game they lose 5-1, and the game after that it wasn't even close. It was sort of close, 6-4. They're just not getting the runs they need. not. It's not the thing is, not like they necessarily have like the chance right in front of them. They don't, not like they don't try, but it's hard to word, but it's like they're not trying hard enough. They just look a bit. We tried. They didn't look like they put their blood, sweat, and tears into winning games. Maybe they'll try and get a run back, but it ends up being futile in the end. Something like New Orleans, they have a similar thing where it just ends up being futile in the end, where they do muscle back. So we move on to the next team we have. If we keep going up the list. Number 20 is the Houston Cosmos. So I put them ahead of Vegas because they have a 3-3 record. Vegas does not. They have I think they have either a 2-4 or a 3-4 record. So Houston, they're sneaking out. They're pulling wins wherever they can. It's tough, but they're able to get wins. Vegas is able to get some wins too, but I expect they're just going to become like Cincinnati, and it kind of seems like what they're going to be, just slightly better at it. When they'll win a game. So yeah, so Houston, well Vegas, the only reason they're this high, Vegas is this high because they're slightly better than Cincinnati and all these other teams, which a lot of them are identical. So for the Houston Cosmos, they're pulling out some wins. Now we're starting to get in that okay territory. They're okay. Are they great? No. Are they awful? No. Are they good? I couldn't say good, but they're trying. They're getting some wins. For record for them, and the next team we move on to is going to be a team that statistically should not be this high. The New York Sailors. The only reason they're this high, they're 2-4. Statistically, they should be probably 25 or 26. The only reason they're this high in week 1, the first week of the Medium Power Rankings, is because the way they won their 2 games that they have won. They're back-to-back. First, they shut out St. Louis 4-0. Solid performance. In the next inning, St. Louis is up 9-2, and then they blew it. They blew it, and they lost 12-11 in the bottom of the 12th. Wow. New York, the resilience on that comeback is probably half the reason they're not in the fourth row. Who do we move on to? Where are we? Just keeping track. Detroit. Detroit's next. So I'm going to cover them in about an hour from now. So Detroit and Cincinnati. So for the Motors, it's just similar to Houston. They're sneaking wins out. They're pulling them out wherever they can get a win. Kind of like mediocre start. That's probably the best way I could put it for Houston and Detroit. Mediocre starts. They're getting a few wins. About half their games they are winning. But they still have similar problems to the teams down here. I'm just going to fix that. Fix that too. Just redraw it. So there we go. So we move up. So Detroit, their problem is that they have similar problems to the teams down here. Is that when they do lose, they don't score enough runs. They just let games get by them. But they do win. They do win sometimes with their 18. Now we move. So we're getting close halfway through. Then we move to number 17. We head back to Canada. Vancouver. So for the Grizzlies, they're sort of similar-ish, but they're winning against better teams. Who's Vancouver? Actually, no. Hold on. I think I'm. No, actually, they're the exact opposite. I mean, Houston. They're getting wins against. No, it's not that. I'm mixing my teams up. They're the ones. They're against bad teams, but they're scoring a lot of runs in these games. They're the ones that get runs like 5, 7, 8 plus runs, and your team has like 2. So and their wins, they're blowout wins. So that's why they're that high. The number 16. They could be higher, but some losses have put them down here. The Oakland Ocean. When they do win, they are effective. On some nights, they are effective. So far, against Vegas, the two games they didn't win, they were solid. Just, they don't do that every night. Similar to... This be similar to, like, Detroit. They get the win sometimes. They just some nights they really lock in. Like Game 2 against the Gamblers, 5-1 win, solid performance. That's what puts them aside because they can pull those off. Then we move to number 15, St. Louis. So for the Stars, their problem. They should be able... If it weren't for the series against the New York Sailors, they did get an 8-4 win in Game 3, but the first 2 games, they just... And it's like... The first game, they just got shut out. So... And then they had a 9-2 lead against them that they blew, and they lost 12-11, as I said earlier. Some embarrassing losses have put them down here. It's about the way they lose. I'm mainly going at this, not only how much you win, it's also about the way you win. Because a blowout win, against a bad team won't put you that high, but if you win against multiple more than once against a good team, I'm gonna put you up. I'm gonna put you up in the standings. I'm gonna do this weekly, by the way. So yeah. So then we are to number 14. We're to Memphis. So Memphis, they're weird because it seems like they're one of those teams that against bad teams, they're terrible. Cincinnati, that's what their opening series. They did not play well in like the first 2 games of that series. Oh no. They didn't play too well. I think they were able to squeak out the winning game 2, but the first game they got shut out. So and the record's 3-3, I believe. But the wins they are getting are against really good. I think they got a win against the Twisters, so that's gonna put pretty high because we'll get to that. We'll get to Texas. Then we move to the Memphis. Oh yeah, that was the Blues. Then we move to the Edmonton Eagles, number 13. Sorry, it's like attached to the third. So for Edmonton and number 13, the Eagles. It's a similar story with Memphis. They're getting those wins. They're winning. I believe they have a 4-3, either a 4-3 or 5-2 record. They're winning games. They're getting runs in. They're bringing runners home. Their pitching staff had a decent start because they're able to lock games down. Number 13, they get the edge of Memphis just because they won more games. But are they great? Are they a great team? Have they had a great first week? No. So then we move to number 12. That'd be the San Francisco Firebirds. So for San Francisco, as I fix these two. There we go. So for the Firebirds, some solid wins, some good. They're finding ways to win. even if it's a tough game, they're still finding ways to win, although their opponents have been mixed. The few opponents they have had. I think they're doing slightly better than Edmonton. This is not the standings. This is not the standings. As my board almost fell. Then we moved to number 11. Another team with 2 initials. The Tampa Bay Titans. And for the Titans, they probably would have been a bit lower, because a lot of times they squeak out wins, but I shouldn't say that. Hold on. For Tampa Bay, I don't know what, I can't talk today. The Tampa Bay Titans, they're an offensive machine. They are like homers. They are like, they're based on home runs. That's what's getting them wins. They're not the only team like it. They can get hit after hit after hit after hit. And an example of this would be the 11-6 win over the Boston Whalers. A good team. They were able to squeak a win against them. And it wasn't a close game either. Solid win. They do struggle at points, so that's why they're not in the top 10. They're just shy. And so to start moving on to the top 10. The Portland Anchors. So for the Portland Anchors, overall their record is good. They did struggle yesterday against the San Diego Seals, but I think they did get one win in that series. Other than the series against the Seals, they've had a pretty solid start. And if they did well against the Seals, they'd probably be in the top 5. Just that game, rough one. Puts them down. They just barely cracked the top 10 into the top 9. Seattle Sasquatch. So now we're getting into good teams. These are good teams. Seattle, good start. And the thing with this, it's probably in 2 weeks, it's going to be a completely different board. The third or fourth time, none of these teams will be in the same spot. Heck, probably some teams, because it's so early on, it's hard to tell things. I'm just going to fix a few, because I think my arms keep running over some of them. I think that's what's happening. So, yeah. Okay, just one more fix. There we go. So, Seattle, they're getting wins. Although they're not necessarily getting blowouts necessarily, but they are just enough runs that they're getting enough to win. The consistency. The Sasquatch, they're consistent. They're not like the Cincinnati where they get a winner. No. And if they lose, they're in. They don't get blown out against. If they lose, it's a close game. So then number 8, we move on to my marker. Here's a team that I could probably compare to the Yankees, because they run things very similarly. Number 8 is the San Diego Seals. So for the Seals, they are the home run team. That's kind of where their offense comes from. I watched it against the Anchors. They hit a lot of home runs. That's kind of their offense. Hitting bombs. That's a way to build a team. It's not a bad way, because it can work in your favor, especially in clutch moments. It's working for them. That's why they're number 8. They are able to. That's probably why they're better than Portland. They won the series. That's probably why they won, because They're just efficient, and it's working for them. See if that continues. And as we move on to number 7. The Orlando Sunrise. And so for Orlando, a really solid start here. 5-2. They're just the Sunrays. They're just. I mean, some of their opponents haven't exactly been good teams, but they are cranking out runs similar to Tampa Bay. Almost like offensive overload. Runs. They outscore you, and it's working for them. They're getting wins. Not necessarily home runs, but just hit. They're the team that will get multiple base hits in a row, and then they'll have like a 5-run inning. And at points, it can be hard to stop them. So then we move on. The really solid team. New York. Now look at it. I probably could have put them down a spot or two, but I mean, their opponents, they've been alright. But their consistency, similar to Seattle, they're just consistently winning. Win. Even if they're close games, they're getting wins. Like that. I put them at 7. I probably could have put them down a spot or two, but I don't know if I like changing it. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it. So number 5. Is the Utah Raptors. So for the Raptors, I mean, yeah, we're getting. I feel like they're really good. They're like a solid team. They're able to. They're shutting teams down at the important. Almost like they're opposite of like Montreal or New Orleans or Vegas. They are shutting teams down at crucial moments, and it's getting them the wins consistently. Getting them wins. Pitching. So they're able to hold on to leads. Unlike Vegas. Who collapsed? Unlike St. Louis. Because the Stars. I wonder how the next 2 weeks are going to play out for them. So, and the rest of the season, really. How long are we at? 29. Okay, yeah, this is going to be a half-hour long video. Alright. So then we head to number 4. Another solid team. And my board just fell, so I don't want to keep that in. So the Boston Whalers. So for the Whalers, consistent wins, and they're getting big runs. They're blowing teams out of the water. They do have their rough. They've had a couple rough patches, but overall, solid body of work in their 5-2 record. I believe they're better than Utah, just by a slight just a smidge. Top 3 teams. Number 3. Atlanta for the Arrow. Got her this time. I need to get like some board holder or something. This board wants to just bounce, move around, whatever. So for the Atlanta Arrows, they're one. I mean, same as Boston, pretty much. Just more absolute wins. They're better opponents too for Atlanta. Who is Atlanta playing? I think they're playing the Grizzlies right now. Not exactly a great opponent, but I can't remember who they. 5-2 record, solid. They're shutting teams down. I'm putting them at 3. Ended up number 2. Philadelphia. So for the Liberty, they're probably they're the best team in the East. Best team in the East. They are the best team in the East. They're the best team. They're the best team. They've had the best start in the East. That's the better way of saying, because you never know what could happen. Because I won't be surprised in 2 weeks is completely half the teams are in completely different sections of the board. So Philadelphia, some very good start, 5-2. They're steamrolling their opponents, steamrolling them. Big double-digit leads, yeah, that type of stuff. Double-digit leads. They're beating good teams. All that and the above. Now to our best team. You know, where's the Twisters? There you are. The Texas Twisters, the best team. Best team by far. Again, it's almost the same thing I could say about Philadelphia, just better opponents. And I think like 12-1. I think it was one of their scores. I don't remember. But and they're going to be playing Boston starting today. Starting series against the Whalers today. Good luck, Boston. Good luck. It's going to be a good series. Won't be covering any games of it, though, which I should have. So, Texas, best team in the league, by far. Not much else to say. That's it. Goodbye. See ya. This has been a way too long of a video.